Anyway, I mentioned we would talk about the NWA event or the NWA in a more positive light in a second. I continue to see the controversy about, my departure and, I'm trying to figure out a way to defend the NWA without defending Dave, because obviously, but at the same time, you don't really need to defend the NWA because it wasn't any of their, nobody had the cut, nobody had the right of edit, nobody thought anything of it. And obviously that's the most important problem between me and David, is that nobody thought anything of something that I had said so many times before until, we all know the fucking professionally offended cosplay wrestling fans made a big deal out of it. And then suddenly everybody got offended.
Well, David didn't have any problem with it when he listened back to the show when he was editing the show.
Well, no, and I'm not
left out of the apology that he gave for you, but not for himself.
I was about to say, I'm not even trying to relitigate that whole thing otherwise than, as I've said before, I would have been a whole lot more amenable to working with a statement overnight that had read, Jim Cornette told a bad joke and some people were offended by it, and we did not edit it out because we made a mistake, which would have been more applicable to the offense than, as I said, I was branded as making offensive comments, and then they took Showdown and cut him out so you didn't know what it was. So, my God, what did he fucking say? Was he somehow a fucking graphic and a description of a sexual act, or did he fucking go off on politics again, or did he want the people that eat dogs to be bombed, or what and made a big goddamn deal out of it. But anyway, the point is, people still continue to say, well, he overshadowed the program. And I just wanted to make mention of this because this is something that's kind of got me a little cranky over the last day or so. I was in some ways overshadowing the program of the NWA because, and I don't really know any other way to say this and not sound like an asshole, but I was the biggest star on it. And now that I've said that and everybody's going to get hot, let me explain. There's a difference between biggest star and greatest talent. I'm not saying that I was the most talented human being on that program, but I was the biggest star because when you factor in the amount of time that I've spent over 30 years in every major wrestling promotion at one time or another, on television, the exposure that I've gotten in major live events, pay-per-view, international television, just the amount of time alone and the amount of places I have been, now coupled with the fact that, once again, being honest and not trying to belittle anybody else, our podcast downloads and YouTube listens for the experience are larger than those for the NWA Power program. So I don't know how I could have mitigated me being the biggest star on the program to not overshadow it in that respect. Not talking about controversy, but everyone's talking about it's also, unfortunately, not my fault. I'm one of the better wrestling announcers out there. I don't know whether that says that there's just a dearth of good announcers or I'm that good, one or the other. So when I announce on a program, everybody loves it because they like my announcing. That's all they talk about instead of what's on the program. I'm not causing that, except I am causing that because of my extreme popularity. And when I say something that people get upset about because I'm a controversial person, then that tends to overshadow the program because now all they're talking about is whether I should have said it or whether I shouldn't say it. I understand this and I acknowledge this. But I'd challenge anybody to go back on even the MLW stuff in the summer. And it was getting a little cringy for me, as I've said. I loved MLW, like Court Bauer, a lot of the guys working there, MJF, Selena De La Renta, fucking Jacob Fatu, I could go on. But when I was having to call Jimmy Havoc with the staple gun, that was getting a little cringy for me because everybody knows it violates my principles here. And one of the things I think makes this program and my commentaries in general popular or at least listen to, whether popular or unpopular, is because they know I'm telling the truth and I'm not bullshitting people. I don't want a job. I'm not lobbying for a job. I'm not trying to make nice with people and say, oh, wrestling's for everyone, or goddamn, yes, we should all support all kinds of wrestling. Everybody knows I tell the truth on what I think is stupid wrestling. It shouldn't be supported, or good wrestling that should be supported, or anything else for that matter that I talk about. It's the Jim Cornette experience because I'm fucking on it and it's my fucking experience. And the reason why it's gotten so fucking popular is because I say what I think legitimately and tell the fucking truth, whether I like something or I don't like it, and whether anybody else don't like it or not. I believe I've mentioned I could give a French fried titty fuck what anybody thinks about what I say if I mean something. So the point is, yes, over the summer, sometimes cringy, calling Jimmy Havoc with the staple gun. But I would then say, well, that's because he's a fucking idiot. He's a nut. He's a nutcase. He's dangerous. Never once did I say on the program, yeah, the guy's a shitty wrestler. That would be unprofessional for an announcer. On the NWA programs, there are certainly things that if I had full say would probably not have happened, that were over the edge into the cringiness, but there was also a lot of good. But I never allowed Jim Cornette, the announcer, to overshadow the personalities. I don't hold the microphone for a heel to do a promo and then hit him with a one-liner that just fucking makes his balls shrivel up and his dick look like a fucking Vienna sausage. I put the talent over. I always make sure to be physically intimidated by any of the wrestlers, but especially the heels. I don't come out there and say, well, this guy's just a fucking piece of shit. Sometimes I might say, well, he needs to get a little bit better shape or whatever, but I don't take the piss out of the product on the air when I'm being paid to be an announcer. And I don't try to hog the spotlight and get more of my face on camera when it's supposed to be about the talent. Can you remember any time, Brian, from anybody that whether they like me or they don't like me, they've accused me of trying to steal the show instead of just stealing the show because I was the best one at what I was fucking doing?
No, I can't think of a situation.
Okay, so the point is, I don't know what else I was supposed to do about overshadowing the program. When people say I overshadowed the NWA, the Cult of Cornette followers and the listeners of this program, not all of them are in the Cult of Cornette. Some people like to listen to me to get pissed off because they hate me. And to these people, I say, fuck you. I don't give a shit whether you listen to me or not. But a lot of people listen to me because they're disgruntled like I am that they can't have their wrestling back because all these cosplay kids have hijacked it. Or they just like people that have a little common sense about some shit or whatever the fuck. And a lot of them listen to this program, and when I plug something, they go and they watch it. And then I don't ask them to keep watching it if they think it sucks, but if they like it, or the podcast that we plug from Wondery, or the products that we plug, or whatever, I'm not saying sign up for life, but watch it and see if you like it. And a lot of our people go and watch, especially the reason why I was on the program is because I like studio wrestling. I like the NWA, and they're trying to do wrestling seriously instead of whatever the fuck the other shit is. But I can't help from overshadowing that. And there's been consternation about, it wasn't a good, here's a phrase they're using now. It's not a good look. Suddenly, over the last year and a half, everybody says, well, it's a bad look, or it's not a good look. And that's another one of those fucking phrases. But anyway, it's not a good look for the announcer of one wrestling program to be criticizing the other one. Well, actually, I kind of thought that's why they thought that I was perfect for the job to begin with, because anybody that wants to watch the NWA and watch real wrestling, why the fuck would they want to watch that fucking cosplay bullshit? And vice versa. If you're so fucking far up, jazz hands his ass that you're watching this outlaw dog and pony show, that they're a big budget outlaw dog and pony show they're putting on a weekly basis, why do you want to watch the other guys? But you know what? Maybe if there was controversy, that might help both fucking companies. Or maybe they can just ignore each other and whatever the fuck. The point is, nobody asked me to change my programming and change my thinking and not knock stupid wrestling where I find it. Not once, nor would I have, because why would I suddenly say, well, I'm not going to give my opinions anymore and change my program and all the stuff that I do for me for a part-time job in Atlanta for a couple, every couple of months, to be honest with you. And once again, I don't know that I'm entering uncharted territory when Paul Heyman used to in the 90s mention his competition by name and talk about what pieces of shit they were, even while he was taking a check from them, by the way. And all I'm doing is say, well, there's men in the NWA instead of a bunch of fucking cosplay kids doing flips. Oh,